All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're opening up the pages of this deeply personal, almost cinematic journal from the source material known as Wanderer's Diary. In Hindi, there's this word for you, it's tum, and what it does is it just completely strips away all the formalities and speaks directly to a person's absolute core. And honestly, that is exactly the level of raw honesty we're bringing to this explainer today. We are going on a journey, right now, to unmask the true self.
Okay, I want you to literally pause and think about this for a second. Who are you, without your name, without your profession, or your relationships? Like if we just strip away all the job titles, if we completely remove the family roles, if we take away literally everything you do on a daily basis, who is actually left standing there? It's a completely unsettling thought, isn't it?
And man, that brings us right to this incredibly powerful quote from the diary. We are experts at being who the world needs us to be. Think about it. We spend our entire lives building up these complex identities. But so often we realize, and sometimes it's way, way too late in life, that what we fiercely defended as our identity was actually just a reflection of what society demanded from us. We adapted so perfectly to our environment that we just lost the original blueprint.
Which brings us to Section 1, the masks we wear.
The exhausting daily reality is that we're basically all just complete chameleons. Just think about it for a second. You are someone else entirely to your parents compared to who you are with your siblings, right? You shift again with your cousins, and then you become a completely different person when you're just hanging out with your closest friends. We are constantly shape-shifting, constantly adjusting, depending entirely on who happens to be in the room with us.
Now, all this shape-shifting creates these really distinct psychological layers. Step 1 is the external self. That's those masks we were just talking about. Then, step 2 is the inner circle. Now, here's the catch. A lot of us just naturally assume this inner circle of our private thoughts and secrets is our true self. But the diary points out this totally fascinating truth. It's not. It's really still just another layer. Step 3, the core, which is your true intentions and your real feelings, that sits even deeper.
Let's dive deeper into that in Section 2, the illusion of self. So, how do we actually find that core? Well, the diary urges you to ask yourself this completely, brutally unbiased question. What is the feeling behind your feeling? Like when you take an action, what is the actual root reason behind it? If you can manage to stop judging yourself for just a moment and just look at the raw, unfiltered mechanics of your mind, you start uncovering your actual true intentions.
The source uses this absolutely beautiful metaphor here. It says, the curtain to the soul is very thin, but it is absolutely not transparent. It's not miles away, it's right there. But the thing is, it only becomes clear when we consciously, intentionally focus our attention right on it. Without that focus, that thin curtain, it just remains a solid wall.
And that brings us to Section 3, peeling back the layers.
So, if it's right there, why don't we focus on it? Well, on one side, we have the external world. We are literally drowning in our phones, entertainment, and just endless digital distraction. But on the other side is internal focus. And let's be real, sitting alone with your true inner core is incredibly difficult. It's confusing at first, and because that internal confusion is so uncomfortable, we just naturally escape right back into our screens. But hey, if you can actually push through that initial discomfort, the diary promises this massive emotional payoff. It says living with our true self is really a different thing. When you finally align with who you actually are deep down, you start to feel your emotions on a much deeper, much more profound level. You start to actually understand your reactions, and as a direct result of that, you end up understanding your relationships far better than before.
Let's talk about how to apply this in Section 4, Surviving the Real World.
Now, the source contrasts two completely different paths here. First, you've got the yogi, right? This is someone who shows their true nature to everyone, all the time. And sure, that's beautiful, but for modern survival, it's highly impractical. If you actually want to achieve your goals and thrive out there, you must be the survivor. The survivor still wears masks to navigate society, but with one absolutely critical difference. They always remember the true core underneath. It is perfectly okay to wear masks to succeed as long as you're the one pulling the strings.
Listen, if you take absolutely nothing else away from this entire explainer, I want you to screen grab this into your brain right now. Wear your masks, but never forget the face underneath. That right there is the ultimate survival tactic for the modern world. Play the game? Absolutely, but know exactly who is playing it.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, Writing Your Blank Book.
The diary pulls in this classic, mind-bending metaphor to really illustrate our nature. It says, "In a flowing river, you cannot touch the same water twice. You are not some fixed, unchanging statue, you are a flowing river." Who you are today is quite simply the result of your past decisions. Which means who you are tomorrow is entirely dependent on the decisions you make in this exact moment. You are constantly changing.
So, because change is literally inevitable, you really only have two choices here. You can choose intentional change, where you are actively molding yourself according to your own desires, or you just default to forced change. And make no mistake about it, if you do not actively brush up and shape your own identity, society and your surroundings will happily do it for you. It's always, always better to keep the control in your own hands.
And this brings us right to the concept of the ideal self. The ideal self isn't some unattainable fantasy. It is literally the person you actively choose to become by adopting very specific habits. And here is the real secret. Building your ideal self becomes incredibly easy once you've actually found your true core. Once you know your baseline, adding the right habits to become who you want to be, it's just a matter of practice.
Ultimately, guys, your personality, it is not a prison. Your past is definitely not a life sentence. You are a blank book. Every choice you make, every pivot, every single moment of self-awareness is just a new drop of ink on a completely fresh page. You have the absolute power to write whatever comes next.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, incredibly provocative question to carry with you today. I want you to take a hard, honest look at your habits, your masks, and your core, and just ask yourself, what story are you writing right now?
Happy